with that, I just want to kind of wind back over to where we were at our last meeting with you folks, and we started talking about some of the educational processes that are out there,
Right.
And the name of it escapes me.
Common Core.
Common Core,
Common Core.
which you started to lead into, and maybe you and John can go forward on your positions on Common Core, and I'll keep my mouth shut.
Well, I'm totally anti-Common Core. I don't believe in Common Core at all. One of my biggest problems with Common Core is the lack of knowledge that's out there and why people don't want to know about it. Frustrates me on a really deep level. There's a really big misconception that Common Core is curriculum. They think it's all in one, and it's really not. Common Core are standards. There's nothing wrong with standards, but there is something wrong with standards when you want to standardize children, and that's all you want
I
from
agree
them.
with that.
Okay. Curriculum is an entirely different story. Common Core, we have no choice. The governor of the state said we're going to adopt Common Core, so we have those standards. What we do have a say over in our local Board of Ed is curriculum. The Board of Ed gets to set the curriculum. You don't have to take whatever they want you to have. But now I'm seeing a lot of inappropriate curriculum being introduced to schools. Not so bad in our school right now, except some of the socialist-leaning description of our government. But that's...
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have to here. Common Core, the description of Common Core to me means that the teachers and administration in the schools are constantly testing our kids. Am I right or wrong with that?
You are. It's heavy testing. Remember No Child Left Behind?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, what was that? George W. Bush's
Yes,
baby?
it was.
Okay.
Actually, it was Ted Kennedy driving that whole thing, but...
But No Child Left Behind really took off with George Bush, and I was really young at the time, and the concept sounded good because it was like the children aren't learning. Why aren't the children learning?
Because you're testing them all the
Okay.
time.
But
it goes beyond that.
It was before that. Think of Common Core as No Child Left Behind on steroids. So if you were a progressive liberal Democrat when Bush was in office, how you can embrace this, I don't understand. Nobody can convince me how you can embrace a program that is all about, they teach to the tests. I've had more than one teacher tell me they can't work with kids who can't keep up with what they're teaching because they have to keep going because there's a test coming up. It's all about the testing. They test them on proficiency. Then they have these ridiculous SBAC tests. And who's setting these standards? It's every single... We got the SBAC results from the 7th grade tests finally when school started, okay, from a year ago. From when they were in 7th grade. You can't work with that data. You can't say, okay, well, the kids had a problem here, so let's work on that, because they're not in 7th grade anymore. And they're designed to fail. The kids don't pass these tests. They're all... Our district is failing, you know.
I've also heard conversation out there about goes beyond all this testing, and the slower kids that are in it can't keep up. I get that. You know, I was a slow kid in school. You know, I didn't bloom till later in life. But anyway, I also have heard that most people are saying in the federal level is leave Common Core to the states or to the local levels and let the states boards of education and the local levels of boards of education make the decisions on whether they want to adopt that. And I understand this would take a rescission to the laws of Common Core as the governor has adopted them now in our state. What would be your position on that?
I think it's all federal state. It was supposedly all the governors got together and decided that there needed to be a standard because all the states would be different. So in actuality, it becomes a federal takeover of our schools. That's exactly what it is. It's a federal takeover of our schools.
So it's a socialistic government infiltrating our children again.
Right. Yeah. How do you take over a society? You start with the schools.
The children,
That's
right?
exactly where you start.
It's frightening to me. Is
In
that-
addition to
I mean,
the
am I not?
No, in addition, I've been researching this for 2 years, and I still can't come up with a comprehensive flow chart that is easy to understand and follow. I mean, I have hundreds of pages of data on this Common Core stuff that my husband's been helping me research for the past 2 years. And they're collecting data on our children, and people don't want to hear that. When you say, every time a child logs into a computer, now technology is a beautiful tool, I love it, but every time that child logs into a computer and takes a test, all that data is collected and stored. What they're doing with this data right now, nobody's telling you. Nobody knows. You ask, oh, well, what are you doing with the data? Oh, well, you know, you have to ask so-and-so. You ask so, oh, no, it's not going outside the schools. Oh, well, no, it's not being used for anything other than educational purposes. But then
Data never goes away.
it's there. It's being collected. And it's all about college preparedness, readiness. Cradle to
Career.
career. I call it something else.
I know.
But
That's the typical Republican response.
cradle to career, they're collecting data on babies. You know, where is it said that constantly testing children is going... I know you know where this is going to end up? They're going to tell your 5-year-old what they're going to be when they grow up.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's-
brainwash them.
It's good in theory, but the unintended consequences are ridiculous of what they're doing. And our kids are the cash cow. I had once referred to our kids in a small meeting. I said they're treating our kids like commodities. Well, you would have thought I was Satan himself when I said that. But you know what? You know how much money is being made? No, Satan's a guy. You know how much money is being made on this data and testing?
Wow.
Millions
and millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
Well, and that's where you got to look back and say those are the people who developed Common Core. Those are the people who had friends that developed Common Core. Now the friends are developing the testing process that are making the money on it.
Well, you know, one of the things I was hoping that I hoped would come out at the debate was that Nora Markowski, she got involved with Common Core back around 2003, from what I've learned on the internet.
Okay.
And you know, she was a James Madison Fellow back at the time, and she did a paper on Federalist 10, basically a whole training aspect of Federalist 10. And it mentions online, you can go search this, that she had a whole lineup of Common Core standards. So this was actually going on back in 2003 with her. So I wish that had come up at the debate, just to see what her thoughts were on Common Core. And now, as an AP history teacher over in Canton, one of the things that's happening that's pretty scary is that the College Board, you know, the ones that do the SAT and the ACT, they're actually dictating the history curriculum to teachers like her. So it's actually